So grab your Bibles and open them up to Matthew chapter 28. That's right. Don't open them up to Romans. Open them up to Matthew 28. Right? We are going. I know Easter was last week, and so you're thinking, why are we going to Matthew 28? And I'll get to that. We're going to kind of stay on the Easter theme here this morning. I was thinking about it this week, and it's really, my Bible doesn't have Matthew. It just goes to Romans. Here we go. Matthew. It's really kind of an interesting thing that we take one day a year to talk about the resurrection. We take one Sunday a year to talk about the empty tomb. Now, stop and think of how ridiculous that is, because that's kind of a big deal, right? I mean, it's kind of a major point in our Christian faith, is that the tomb was empty, that the resurrection and all the events that surrounded it, that's pretty major. And we spend one day a year really focused on it. So we're not going to do that. We're going to focus on it 2 days a year. All right, so we're talking about it today as well. We're going to kind of continue on the Easter theme, the resurrection theme, and we're going to go to that familiar resurrection passage in Matthew 28, 1 through 8. We're going to read that, and then I'll explain to you really where it's going and why we're sticking around here. Matthew 28, 1 through 8 says, "Now, after the Sabbath, toward the dawn of the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary went to see the tomb. And behold, there was a great earthquake, for an angel of the Lord descended from heaven and came and rolled back the stone and sat on it. His appearance was like lightning, his clothing white as snow. As for fear of him, the guards trembled and became like dead men. But the angel said to the women, 'Do not be afraid, for I know that you seek Jesus who was crucified. He is not here. He is risen, as he said.'" Those are crucial words in today's message. "As he said. Come and see the place where he lay. Then go quickly and tell the disciples that he had risen from the dead. And behold, he is going before you into Galilee, and there you will see him. See, I have told you." So they departed quickly from the tomb with fear and great joy, and ran to go and tell the disciples. Let's pray. Father, we just ask as we look at this passage this morning, and as we look at the account of what took place, Father, after the crucifixion and the morning of the resurrection, that first Easter morning, we look at the events surrounding it. I pray that you would just give us insight, that you would just give us greater understanding, and most of all, Father, you would show us your grace and love in greater ways. Father, we would walk out of here today encouraged and strengthened by your love and grace. May we be passing that on to those around us. Father, we thank you and praise you and give you all the glory. In Jesus' name. Well, the question that I want to really tackle this morning's message is titled "Hope for the Distracted." And you're going to see how that pans out. But as we read that passage we just did there in Matthew 28, right? You have the story, crucified on Friday, Sunday morning. A couple of ladies with some spices are going to the tomb. They get there and it's empty. The angel shows up. You know this, we just read it, right? Go, and he says, "Go and tell the disciples the things that have happened." Now, the question that comes from that, or the question that popped into my mind is, where were the disciples at? Why did the ladies have to go tell them, right, what had just happened? Really, why weren't they there? Why weren't they there? And a minute I jump out at you right away. I mean, we really do know where they were at, sort of. The Bible says after Jesus was arrested, they did what? They scattered, right? They took off. They kind of laid low. They hid out. They went to their separate places. Peter kind of trailed along for a little while, like we talked about last week. Denied knowing Jesus, and then was nowhere to be seen for a while. So they just kind of scattered and disappeared. So we really know where they were at. But stop and think about everything that just took place, right? When they were laying low, their leader was just arrested. Their leader was nailed to the cross. You know, the reality was they got caught. They were on the next cross. That was really what was going in their minds. They really just took off. However, that Sunday morning, where should they have been? Not too long before this, if you go back in the book of Matthew, there's at least 3 recorded accounts where Jesus laid out a plan for them on what was going to happen. So I think they're going to pop up here. The first one is back in Matthew chapter 16. Matthew 16, verse 21. Jesus talking with his disciples. It says, "From that time, Jesus began to show the disciples that he must go to Jerusalem. He must suffer many things from the elders and the chief priests and scribes. He would be killed, But on the third day, he would be raised. Right? He would be raised. Chapter later, Matthew 17, 22 through 23. As they were gathering in Galilee, Jesus said to them, the Son of Man is about to be delivered into the hands of men. They will kill him, and he will be raised on the third day. And they were greatly distressed. One more time, Jesus told them, Matthew 20, 17 through 19. Jesus said, and as Jesus was going to Jerusalem, he took the 12 aside, and on the way he said to them, see, we are going up to Jerusalem. That's huge. Y'all paying attention here? See, I told you twice already, we're going to go to Jerusalem and something's going to happen. Here he says, see, look, here we're going to Jerusalem. We're going there, and the Son of Man will be delivered over to the chief priests and the scribes, and they will condemn him to death. They will deliver him over to the Gentiles to be mocked and flogged and crucified. And he will be raised on the third day. Jesus wasn't hiding what was coming. He wasn't talking in parables to the disciples about what was going to take place. He wasn't leaving them guessing. He couldn't have been more openly clear. We're going to Jerusalem. I'm going to be killed. Third day, raised. We're delivered in the hands of men. Killed, raised on the third day. Jerusalem, crucified, raised on the third day. And as they're walking to Jerusalem, he's like, hey boys, you see where we're going now? We're going to, you see this? We're going to Jerusalem. This is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. So the question pops out when we look at that and go, where were they at Sunday morning? He told them exactly how it was going to go. Why weren't they there? Stop and think just for a moment of everything that these men had been with Jesus up to this point. Everything they had walked with him through, everything that they had seen, everything that they had experienced was absolutely incredible. Or they had watched Jesus and Peter join him walking on the water. That already had taken place. They saw Jesus say, be calm, and the winds and waves quit. They saw him control the weather, right? They saw him heal the sick and feed the hungry. They saw him boldly rebuke the religious leaders of the day, flipping over the tables in the temple and chasing out the money changers. They had saw that, and you know their eyes were this big when that was taking place, right? That was a huge event. You don't just walk in the temple and start running people out. That's not how things were done. They saw the authority that he had. They saw Jesus speak on the night he was arrested. Remember, the soldiers fell down. I love that passage. Remember, the soldiers all come around. They say, are you Jesus of Nazareth? What's he say? Yes. What happens to them? Laid out. Right? The scriptures say, fell backwards. He says, yes, I am. Right? They were there for that. They saw the power and authority that he had. They watched him that same night he was arrested. He picked the ear of the Roman soldier back up that Peter just chopped off, stuck it back on the side of his head. They saw that happen with their own eyes. They watched Jesus cast out demons multiple times over the course of 3 years. They saw him teach with authority. They saw the water turn into wine. They had their nets overflowing with fish. And one time they needed to pay their temple tax. Where did Jesus get it from? Remember? He pulled it out of a fish's mouth. They were there for that. They saw Jesus grab their fish. There's the coin right there. They experienced so many incredible things with Jesus up to this point. Even greater ways, Peter, James, and John, they were lucky enough to see what we call the transfiguration of Christ. We're going to read that one because it's just too cool to pass up. Matthew 17. Right in the midst of all this, Jesus telling them they were going to Jerusalem, he was going to be crucified, and he'd be raised from the dead. Matthew 17, 1 through 3. It says, and after 6 days, Jesus took with him Peter, James, and John, his brother, and led them up high on a mountain by themselves. And he was transfigured before them. His face shone like the sun. His clothes became white as light. And behold, there appeared them Moses and Elijah talking to him. Can you imagine that? You're Peter, James, and John. You think you're following this Rabbi Jesus, and you've seen some pretty cool things so far. And he says, hey guys, we're taking a trip up the mountain. And all of a sudden, instant, his clothes shining white, his face like the sun. There's Moses, there's Elijah. That's incredible. They saw Christ, not in this earthly poverty, world that he lived in, but in his glory. In his glory, surrounded by Moses and Elijah. I wish it said what the conversation was about. What was Jesus talking? It doesn't say, but that would be so cool to be part of that. But jump down to verse 5 and 7. It gets even better. He was still speaking when, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them, and the voice in the cloud said, "This is my beloved Son, with whom I am well pleased. Listen to him." When the disciples heard this, they fell on their faces, and they were terrified. But Jesus came and touched them, saying, "Rise and have no fear." You guys think about that experience. Think about that moment. Just we're going up on the mountain. They see this thing take place. All of a sudden, this bright cloud kind of just engulfs them and surrounds them. And they hear the voice of God Almighty say, "This is my Son." Did you catch the next part? What to say? Listen to him. Listen to him. If you had any doubt about who Jesus still was, these boys, that doubt just got taken care of right there. And God said, listen to him. And yet, 3 different times that Jesus says, we're going to Jerusalem, I'm going to be crucified, but I will rise, not on the second day, not sometime, not in a week from now, not hang out a while. I'm going to come back on the 3rd day. He even told them when. On the 3rd day, I'm going to rise. Where were the disciples at? God had just showed up in the cloud as they saw the transfigured Christ and said, listen to what he says. He said, I'm going to rise from the grave. Where were they at? Where were they at? Peter was told 3 times he was told that he would deny Jesus 3 times, even knowing him the night he was arrested. It happened exactly as Jesus said it was going to. Everything Jesus had told the disciples that was going to happen had happened. Every time. They had followed him for 3 years. And Jesus had never once led them astray. He had never once not followed through on what he said was going to take place. They had seen miracle after miracle, power after power, authority after authority. Everything he said was coming right out in detail. And he said, we're going to Jerusalem. I'll be crucified. And on the 3rd day, raised from the dead. Where were they at? You ever stop and ask yourself that question? It's just fun to ponder. Why weren't they there? It seems so obvious that they should have been there. And we see the story play out just as Jesus said it would. Right? Matthew 21, Palm Sunday, Jesus enters into Jerusalem. Jesus said, we're going to Jerusalem. Matthew 21, they got there. They entered into the city. By now, though, the disciples had already became pretty distracted. They're walking in with Jesus, people waving branches. They're like almost superstars. They're superstars because they know that guy. They're not superstars themselves, but they know the guy is a superstar, and they're walking in with him. And it's really hard to be, not become distracted when you're the celebrity. That's what they were facing already. So they probably already forgot what Jesus said was happening after they got to Jerusalem. They were lost already in the moment. Right? Matthew 26, we see the betrayal and arrest. Matthew 27, we see the crucifixion, all happening exactly as Jesus said it would. Jesus breathed his last and said, it is finished. Friday, Saturday, Sunday morning. Where do you think we should have found the disciples in the story? At the tomb, right? You think they would have been camped out outside just waiting for this event to happen. Right? You think they'd be standing right in front of it. You think they would have gathered everybody else they could possibly find to go and wait at the tomb with them. Right? Hey guys, this is going to be incredible. Let's go, disciples. Rally point at the tomb right now. We're waiting, we're going to watch this thing. Jesus, we went to Jerusalem. He was crucified. Hey, it's the 3rd day. Something awesome is going to happen. I know what's coming next. You think they would have been right there waiting to see the thing that was going to take place. You think they would have told everybody they passed on the street. You think they would have spent from Friday to Sunday morning just telling everybody, hey, come on, Sunday morning, we got someplace to be. You're not going to want to miss this. This is going to be absolutely incredible. Just meet us at daybreak at the tomb of Joseph Arimathea. Just come on down, and you won't be disappointed. I think they would have been standing on the rooftops, shouting out the announcement, right? All right, come on, Sunday morning, meet at the tomb of Joseph. We're going to see something amazing. Remember that Jesus said was just crucified on Friday? Oh, get ready. He's going to answer all the questions you may have had about who he really was. Come and join us Sunday morning. Right? You can see the mass invitation going out. Not the awkward invitation for goulash, but the mass invitation going out to all they could see. You think they would have been calling up the Pharisees and the Sadducees and been knocking on Pilate's front door, saying, hey, come on, you got to watch this. At daybreak Sunday morning, oh, it's going to be good. Come on, Pilate. Come on, high priest. Come on, Caiaphas, let's go check this out. You're going to be blown away at what is going to happen. But instead, what do we find on that first Sunday morning? You see a handful of women taking some spices to go anoint a dead corpse. Worried about how they're going to roll the stone away. Or that was their discussion, the other gospel accounts here. They were going to the tomb going, how are we going to get that stone rolled back? So we can put these spices on dead Jesus' body. Jesus said, I'm going to Jerusalem. I'm going to be crucified. On the third day, I'm going to be raised. He's never lied to them once. Where were the disciples at? Why weren't they at the tomb waiting? There's probably lots of reasons. I've narrowed down 3 that I want to look at this morning. And this goes into our hope for the distracted title that you see. Because point number 1, the reason, or where they were at, the reason they weren't at the tomb waiting was their current situation. Their current situation had distracted them from the big picture. Right? In the heat of the moment, in the heat of everything that was taking place, they became distracted on understanding that there's a bigger thing taking place here than that specific moment. Although they had seen so many incredible things, right? The disciples really couldn't see past the now of what was happening to get the big picture of what Jesus was doing. I mean, I think the easy answer is to simply say that the disciples didn't believe that Jesus would be raised from the dead, but I just don't think that's it. I mean, I don't think that's giving them enough credit where credit is due. Sometimes we kind of slam on the disciples, right? Like they should have been there, we're a bunch of idiots. Right? Why weren't they there? These guys had 3 years. They left everything they had. They left everything they had known to follow this Jesus. They had walked away from their careers. They had walked away from their friends. They had walked away from their homes and their comforts to follow a man that they really didn't know. They were at work, and he came by and said, come and follow me. And the only details he gave them was, I'll make you fishers of men. They're like, yeah, sounds pretty good. I have no idea what you're talking about, but that sounds pretty good. Like, let's go do that. I mean, stop and think about that picture. They left everything in order to follow Jesus. Put yourself in their shoes for a moment, right? You're at work. Can you just imagine this scenario playing out for us as individuals? You're at work and some teacher comes by, this rabbi, teacher, Jesus comes by, some teacher, and says, hey, let's go. Come, I got some stuff for you. All right, come and follow me. He doesn't tell you where you're going. He doesn't tell you how long you're going to be gone. He doesn't tell you what you're going to be doing to make money, to provide, to live, to do any of these things. He doesn't just tell you to put in for a week of vacation. You'll be coming back. Right? He really gives you no specifics whatsoever. Right? Whatsoever. But he says, I'll make you a fisher of men. Are you going with him? Like, really, honestly, do you think you drop everything you're doing and go, yeah, all right, let's do it? I'm guessing most of us, not a chance. We're like, that guy is nuts. Like, how about you just go teach at church on Sunday? I might come listen to you, right? And see what you got to say first. Let's say we have a little class, we get to know each other better first, and then maybe we just imagine that. But let's imagine for a moment that we say, yeah, all right, which would be rare. Really, the reality is most professing Christians don't want to give more than an hour a week to learn about Jesus. So it's odd that we would follow him completely as the disciples did. But let's imagine for a moment that we did. We dropped everything. Now some of you have jobs where like, I would gladly drop everything. I don't even care who that guy is. Like, I'm gone. But let's imagine we did for a moment. Now after you start following this guy, all of a sudden you realize this guy is a little on the nutty side, right? You kind of start being viewed as you're on the fringe of society. You're kind of one of those crazy people that normal people go, those guys out there, they're not like us. They're not quite right. Right? The guy that they were following was a radical. Make no doubt about it. He was as radical as they come, and he was viewed as such. He was a troublemaker. He was driven out of towns. Right? I mean, he's driven out of places that he went. Even though he was healing people, he was casting out demons. Remember, they drove him away. You remember when Jesus went and cast legion, the multiple demons, into the herd of pigs, and all the pigs killed themselves? How did the people respond? That is so cool. Those two guys are finally free from all those demons. They say, he just killed all our pigs. You got to get out of here. They ran him out of town. That's the guy you're following. That's the guy you left home, job, career, comforts, everything for. Plots to kill him everywhere he went. The message that he was speaking was completely contrary to everything you've ever grown up believing. Not just a little bit contrary. Right? The things that Jesus was teaching the disciples wasn't just like, this is slightly different than what you've heard. It was completely the opposite of what they'd ever heard. Completely revolutionary to anything they had ever came across. Jesus' teaching was being rejected by not just some of the religious establishment, but all the religious establishments. He was a heretic to the church crowd. He was a crazy, radical heretic that deserved to be killed for his blasphemy against God in the eyes of the church crowd. That's the guy you're following, right? The things that he was calling you to live as your life was just nuts. Love your enemy. What? Bless those who persecute you. I mean, this is some nutty stuff this guy is saying. This is not the way business was done. Blessed are those who mourn. Forgive not 7 times, but 70 times, 7 times. If you get hit on this cheek, turn the other one. If someone takes your coat, give them your tunic. If someone forces you to walk 1 mile, walk 2 miles. This guy was nuts. And this is the guy you were following. This was the guy you were following. And yet, the disciples didn't turn back. How many of us would have turned back long ago? We may have walked out of our job to follow him for a bit, but we see this stuff going on. We're just like the guy in the video, kind of like slowly inching away. Thinking maybe he won't notice if I just, and we're gone. We're just out of there. Not the disciples, they were there. John chapter 6, 67 and 68. We see it happen. We see their commitment level. Jesus was teaching some pretty hard stuff about following him, and the crowd got up and walked away. So this guy's, we're not doing that. That was often the response to Jesus' messages, by the way. The large crowds always walked away. Anytime a large crowd gathered, Jesus would turn around and say something to them, and they'd be like, all right. They just go back home. So Jesus, he's teaching, he looks at the 12, and he says, do you want to go away as well? No, everybody else has left. Church is empty. Why don't you go with them? Right? You're going to give up on me as well? How did Simon Peter respond? He says, Lord, to whom shall we go? You alone have the words of eternal life. That's commitment. That's commitment that most of us fall greatly short on. So I don't think it wasn't that they didn't believe what Jesus said, that he was going to come back on the 3rd day. I think if we're honest, even before Pentecost, when the disciples received the Holy Spirit, I think their commitment to follow Christ is incomparable to what we call Christianity today and following Christ. Right? I mean, it really puts us to shame. As I explained that scenario, most of us, self-included, we're not there. We don't follow Jesus that hard as these guys did. Right? So I don't think it's that. I don't think it's their level of commitment. I don't think it was their disbelief. However, even with that level of commitment, even with that understanding of who Jesus was, even after all the things they had serious, see how powerful the distraction can be. Their eyes were so fixed upon their present situation that they failed to remember and see the big picture of what was going on. That is a powerful tool of the enemy. A powerful, everything they'd experienced. And all of a sudden, Jesus is crucified. And they can't get past the now to remember that something bigger is taking place here. Remember, Jesus came to do a work, and it wasn't specific to the 12. At this point, the 11, right? Jesus came to do a work, and it wasn't just for them. God's plan of redemption for a fallen people to be redeemed and reconciled to him. That's what this is all about. Now, it doesn't say Jesus is for God's plan of redemption for a few people at this point in time through the work of the cross. But the message of Jesus was redemption to God, salvation for all of fallen creation through himself. Jesus didn't come for a certain generation. Jesus didn't come for a specific time and a place, and just a small group of people. He came for all generations, past, present, future. He came for all of them. And in the pain of the moment, the disciples had lost sight of it. They thought it was just for them. They thought the world was revolving around that specific moment in time. They lost sight, but that wasn't it. Their eyes were fixed on the present only. They thought that when Jesus said he was going to be the king, they thought they meant for them only. When Jesus said, I'm the King of Kings, they thought, well, good, we'll get in there and kick Rome out of here, we'll have this place back. And they were so fixed on the present, they forgot what he meant for king was something far different. Jesus said that he was going to be king. It wasn't just a king for them. It wasn't wearing a crown and ruling the nation and tossing out the Roman rule. They failed to see the big picture that Jesus' kingdom was far greater than ancient Jerusalem alone. Not even in comparison for how great his kingdom is. They failed to understand that he didn't come to overthrow Rome, but he came to overthrow the power of evil. Not just an evil empire, but the power of evil. He came to bring victory over all of it. Jesus didn't come to conquer Caesar. He came to conquer Satan, right? But in the moment where the disciples were at, they forgot that it wasn't necessarily about them. There was something bigger taking place. They lost sight of all the things that Jesus told them was going to happen, for why he came. They lost sight of all the things that was going to take place because they were so focused on what do we do now? Now what's going to happen from here? This happens to us just as easily as it does for them, even probably more so, I think. We maybe not have all the experiences that they did. Anybody see Jesus transfigured? No. So they had to step up on us, and it still happens. So it happens a little bit easier for us. And when it happens is when we start to see ourselves as the center of the universe. We start to see that our time and place is the center of all creation, just like they did. Right? We look at our lives, and everything that takes place is centered around us. And that's not the way it works at all. Everything revolves around God, and God is working all things into place, and all things into position, and all things for his purpose. You might be going through something right now that has effect on somebody that God is doing that you don't even know. You're not the main part of the story. The disciples weren't the main part of the story. It was something much bigger than that taking place. But we turn our eyes inward on ourselves. We turn our eyes inward on our time, and we lose sight of the big picture. We miss what God has called us to. We miss the opportunity that God has given us to proclaim the message. Number two, let's look at the second thing that they distracted them. Their current situation distracted them not only from the big picture, but their situation distracted them from God's faithfulness. Now, again, it's incredible. I'm going to just beat this one into the ground a little bit here. It's incredible to think about what the disciples had witnessed with their own eyes. How many times they saw God prove himself faithful over and over and over again in their times of walking with Christ. They saw God's faithfulness when he provided food when there was no food. The baskets overflowed. That's God's faithfulness to provide. They saw the faithfulness of God to heal disease that there was no cure. There was no cure for leprosy. That Jesus would be like, gone. They'd be clean. They saw that. They saw God's provision, his faithfulness, that nothing was impossible for him. They saw God's faithfulness to provide safety when they were all sure they were going to die in the raging sea. These were experienced fishermen who knew bad weather. Remember that story? They're out in the lake and they're like, we're going to die. Better wake up Jesus. Jesus wakes up and is like, calm down. And the waves stop. God's faithfulness to provide for their disease, provide for their food, provide for their safety over and over again. They saw God's faithfulness to give them grace over and over again, even when they failed. As Peter walked out in the water to be with Jesus, right, what happened? That story didn't go perfect, did it? He didn't rush right out there and just give Jesus a big old embrace of water. He took a couple steps, looked around, thought, what am I doing out here? Started to fall, and Jesus comes over and does what? Well, look at you now. I mean, that was stupid. I guess you should have just stayed in the boat if you weren't strong enough to do this. Is that what he did? No, what did he do? He said, hey, come on. Come on, you a little thing. Reached down, grabbed him, picked him up, put him back on top of the water. They walked back to the boat together. They saw God's faithfulness even when they failed. They saw his grace poured out upon them. God had proven himself faithful to them over and over through their short 3 years of walking with Christ. But on top of that, they had their entire Jewish history to look back upon and to see God's faithfulness. I mean, not only did they experience God's faithfulness, they looked back and they could recount the stories. They had the scriptures. These were Jewish men. They knew how things went in the beginning. Right? They knew God's faithfulness. That God didn't leave their people in Egypt as slaves, but he led them out in miraculous ways. He declared his glory and his power through the plagues and brought his people. He proved faithful to bring them out. He proved faithful to them when he displayed his power. He proved faithful when he didn't leave them in the wilderness to die. When they got to the edge of the Red Sea, looked back and Egypt was coming up fast. He leave them there to die. That's what they thought was going to happen. They yelled at Moses, weren't there enough graves in Egypt? Now we're going to get slaughtered out here. God's like, watch this. Come on. I got you. Proven himself faithful over and over again in their history. He parted the Red Sea. He provided bread from heaven. He made water come out of a rock. I mean, this was his God had proven himself that he would take care of them, that he would be there for them, that he would not leave them in that moment. He didn't leave them homeless in their ancient days, but he gave them the promised land, knocking down the walls of Jericho with a trumpet blast. He'd proven himself faithful. He'd proven himself faithful, that he would take care of his people, that he has a plan, that nothing is without reason, that all has a purpose to display his glory and his might and his power over and over again. They had heard, they had seen, they had seen and saw. They had experienced, we'll just combine those seen and saw. They experienced God's faithfulness in their own life and learned about it from their youth. That God was able and would fulfill all his promises to care for his people. And yet, in a moment of tragedy, in a moment of pain, in a moment of chaos and disaster, they completely lost sight of God's faithfulness. They became so distracted with the now, they couldn't see past their current pain to see that God was not going to leave them there. That he had a plan for this. And just as he had proven himself faithful every time in history before, he would prove himself faithful now. He would prove himself faithful now. I think we can all relate to this in one way or another. In our moment of tragedy, in a moment of testing, in a moment of trial, in a moment of hardship. Come on, nod your heads. Have you lost sight of God's faithfulness? You find yourself wringing your hands, worried about what's coming next. So distracted by the current situation that you forget how big your God is and how faithful he is. The story usually goes something like this, right? You thought you had life all figured out. We all did, usually in our younger days. At this point in life, we all realized we don't have life figured out. But when we were younger, we were all much smarter, and we knew how life was going to go. You know, we had it all. We could just picture this is what's going to take place. I'm going to grow old with a spouse I love, and that who loves me. We're going to have a perfect, James Thompson type marriage. We focus on my family because it's going to be so good. I mean, it's just, we had it all pictured how things were going to go. Your kids would all be following Jesus as adults, and they'd be raising up their grandkids in a godly home, and joy and love would just be everywhere in your family. You get together for a big family Christmas and just sing about Jesus and how sweet it was going to be, right? You're going to have enough in your retirement account that you could live comfortably, maybe not rich, but comfortably. A little place in Florida for the bad weather in the winter, right? You spend the last years of your life rocking away on your porch, watching the sun go down, sipping lemonade. That's the plan, right? Talk about how great your family is and how wonderful your grandkids are. And they're all pastors and missionaries, and life is so wonderful. And then what happens? Boom. One event, one phone call, one accident, one fill in the blank here, one call from your doctor, one call from your child, one call from the police. And it's gone, right? What happens to your perfect little dream is shattered in a moment. And in that moment, all of a sudden we find ourselves asking the question, now what? Where are you at in all this, God? What are you going to do with this now, God? Everything I had planned out of how this was going to go is now gone. God, where are you at? How are you going to fix this? How are you going to get me through this? How are you going to provide through this? This isn't how this is supposed to go. And also we do what we forget. All the times that God has proven himself faithful. All the times he has shown up, provided for our need in miraculous ways. All the times in recorded history where he has shown up and provided in miraculous ways goes out the window because we become so distracted in the moment. We can't hardly blame the disciples for not being there. That's right where they were at. Everything they thought was coming, they were so focused on the now, and they had their own dreams. Right? And it was gone in a moment. Their current situation distracted them from God's faithfulness. Number 3, their current situation distracted them from God's power. The current situation distracted them from the big picture, that Jesus is coming to do a much greater work than the immediate. Their current situation distracted them that God had proven himself faithful forever, and he wasn't going to let them down now. And third, their current situation distracted them in God's power. And this really ties together with the other two. In how many times in the last 3 years the disciples followed Jesus that things looked impossible, and then Jesus steps out of the scene? How many times was it an impossible situation? And they're like, what are we going to do? Jesus is like, I got this. Right? How many times they had seen God's power revealed through Jesus? We talked about some of them, a few more. Remember the story of Lazarus. Lazarus, come forth. That is an impossible situation where Jesus displayed God's power to bring a man back from the dead. Not just back from the dead for like an hour. He did that 4 days. He was in the tomb. The King James Version says, and he stinketh. Right? Stinketh. I mean, it was like he was dead for a while. And Jesus shows up and says, come on, we're not done yet. They saw God's power revealed in the impossible situation. Just an incredible story. Jesus told many lame men, get up and walk. It's impossible. Not with God. He's more powerful than any disease. Not with God's power. We talked about Legion. The time Jesus cast out the multiple demons into the herd of pigs. That's impossible. Not with God's power. The demons fled. They begged him not to send them into the pit, but to send them into these pigs instead. Right? God's power is of no match to the enemy. On the night Jesus was arrested, they watched Jesus just put an ear back on the Roman soldier after Peter chopped it off. They had seen God's power over and over in their lives. And again, as well as they had seen God's power over and over again in history. What would they possibly think was hopeless and unable to get done when they knew what was written in this book? When they'd experienced the things that they'd experienced. Jesus, we got no bread. Come on, I will make the rocks turn into bread if we need bread. Like, it's not a big deal. Jesus, what are we going to do with this? That's not a problem. This man's got leprosy. No, he doesn't. This man's dead. No, he's not. I mean, there's nothing that God had proven himself faithful and powerful over and over again. And yet, in their moment of pain and tragedy and crisis, they forgot that God is able to do the impossible. You look at our situation, the current crisis that you may be in, or you have been in, or you will be in, and we get just so distracted on the now when the doctors say there's nothing we can do, or when something happens in life that there's nothing we can do to fix this, and we forget God is able. There's nothing impossible. We can relate to that one as well. We fall into despair because our situation seems so hopeless. We forget how great our God is. Because the mess we're in seemed too great. It wasn't greater than these stories. The mess you're in isn't any bigger than Lazarus, right? I mean, come on. We forget how powerful our God is. The tool of the enemy to distract us, to close our minds in on our present situation, that we miss all these other things. We're not standing at the tomb with the disciples, right? Now, it can be easy for us. I'm going to wrap this up a little bit. We'll wrap this up just a little bit here. I say that, I got a whole new page to go. We're going to begin to wrap this all together. It's easy for us to sit back and look at the disciples and call them idiots for not being at the tomb, right? I mean, that's the easy message. It's always easy pointing the finger at other people's shortcomings. We can read the scripture and say, man, Jesus told them 3 times he was going to rise from the grave, and none of them were there. Or they really messed that up. What a bunch of losers. I can't believe they didn't see it. It's easy to sit there and point out what they should have done and where they should have been. Right? They should have been waiting at the tomb. Guaranteed. Absolutely, without question. There's no softening that up. They messed up. They did. They should have been there. There's no other way to look at it. They failed. Again, miserably. They all should have been waiting there at the tomb. They missed it. They were wrong. But that's the easy message, right? Easy for us to stand up here and point the finger at other people. But the disciples messing up isn't the main point of the story. That's the obvious point. Okay? And so instead of looking at how badly they messed up, I want us to look at how Jesus responds to their messing up. Luke 24, verse 36. One more passage. Luke 24, 36. It says, as they were talking about these things, this is after the resurrection, right? The women had already came back and told them the tomb's empty. This is what the angel told me. That's what they're sitting around talking about. They're talking about these things. Jesus himself stood among them. That means he just showed up. Okay? And he said to them, peace to you. Peace to you. Now think about everything we just talked about this morning. Think about how badly these jokers just messed up. Right? Think of how badly they missed everything that they should have been doing. They missed the place where they should have been. They totally blew this. This was a group of people who had failed him in such a huge way. A group of people who were so distracted with their own problems, so distracted in their own crisis, so distracted in their own pain that they completely missed everything Jesus had been saying for years that was going to take place. They completely forgot it. And Jesus shows up and he says, peace to you. He doesn't show up and say, where were you all at? Why weren't you there? How come the ladies came with the spices thinking I was still dead? How could you miss it? How could you be so blind? How could you not get that right? Y'all better go out and try harder. I mean, you just blew it. No, what's he say? He said, peace to you. And I love it because it says it with an exclamation point, which makes me think he said it with passion and a smile. He didn't say, peace to you guys. Peace to you. Like, look, boys, I'm here. Don't be afraid. Don't worry. Don't be concerned. Look, me. It's me, Jesus. It's me. I'm here with you. That's incredible. That's not the greeting you would expect him to give to a group of failures that just blew it when they should have been waiting at the tomb. That's not what you'd expect him to say. That's not what we'd say to somebody. We'd go with that other response. What were you doing? Why weren't you there? How could you miss it? I told you what was going to happen. How did you get it wrong? That's where we'd go with it. Jesus shows up and says, peace to you. How does this apply to us? It applies to us because I think we can easily relate to the disciples in the situation, right? That's the easy message too. Me standing here beating you down for missing the point, becoming distracted on, the situation, and how terrible we all are for missing what God's doing, how terrible we all are for becoming so distracted and caught up in the world. And that's easy message. We're not going to walk out of here feeling good, all right? That message. You a bunch of failures. Look how distracted you are. Right? That's not where we want to go with this. So we can all relate to the disciples. We can all see how they lost focus of the bigger picture. They lost focus and got distracted from God's faithfulness to fulfill every word of his promises. They got distracted and forgot how powerful God is. We can all get there pretty easily. And so what happens is the enemy can come in. Right? And in each one of these situations, the devil wants you to believe that because of your distraction, because of your past failure, because of the times that you missed it, God is done with you. That God is never going to use you. That, look, you still can't get it right. You just keep failing over and over. You may come to church today and say, I'm not going to be distracted anymore. But by Wednesday, you know you're going to be distracted again. And so failure and guilt and shame, and the enemy just beats you down with this. It just tears us apart. We hear a message that we're becoming distracted, and we're like, I know it. I'm such a loser. I can't believe it. Man, why can't I get this right? And if the message stopped there, guilt and shame, depression, despair, hopelessness start to sink in. The enemy smiles, and we are crushed. That's not the point. That's not the point of the message at all, because the message doesn't stop with them missing the point. The whole point of this message, the whole point of this passage, isn't to beat us all down for becoming distracted at times, but it's to show you how overwhelming God's love and grace is in the midst of our failures. That's the key here. Even though we become distracted, He is graceful and loving and merciful. Right? Even though we be distracted. When Ephesians chapter 1 says that we have forgiveness of our sins according to the riches of His grace, He lavishes it upon us. It means it. He lavishes it upon us. When Jesus shows up in the room with the disciples and says, "Peace to you," that was a big old shovelful of grace. Because He should have just smacked it. Right? But He didn't. He didn't. He extended grace to the riches of His grace, lavishing it upon them. So what this means to us as brother and sister in Christ, that we have become distracted. If you're looking this morning like, yeah, man, I'm right with the disciples. I've been missing the point. I've been so distracted on the now. I really have lost sight of who God is. I've been doubting His power. I've been doubting His faithfulness. I've been doubting the big picture. I've forgotten that I'm not the center, but He's the center. And we can get there. The message is it's not too late this morning. God's not done with you. Nor is He angry with you. Peace to you. Exclamation point. Peace to you. Right? He's not angry with you about it. Now, this doesn't excuse our distraction. Remember the disciples, they were wrong. They should have been there. There's no softening that. They missed it. There is no taking that a different route. It is no big deal. And who cares? They don't have to pay attention to what Jesus said. No, that's not the message at all. That's never the point. It's never the point to say our distraction isn't something that we have to focus and readjust and intentionally maintain a focus on who Christ is. It's not an excuse for our lost focus, but it is reality that in our weakness, He does not cast us out. When we fail Him, He is not done with us. It is not a last chance. He does not tire of us, and He is not done with you. Jesus says, "Peace to you." Now the incredible thing is, He doesn't just say peace to you. He goes on to tell them, if you keep reading, that they are going to be His witnesses to go tell other people what had happened. You want to talk about grace? These are guys that were told 3 times, going to Jerusalem, going to be crucified, going to raise from the dead. They were also narrow-minded. They weren't there Sunday morning. And you said, "Hey, you boys, you're going to be the ones going to tell people about me." You guys, you group of distracted failures, are going to go and tell the world who I am. The Holy Spirit was going to fill them, to turn them loose to proclaim the message. Jesus gave the responsibility of spreading eternity, the eternity-changing message of the gospel, to a group of followers, the 11 men, the multitudes now, that are easily so distracted with their current situation that they fail. And yet He says, "Peace to you." He's given us His Spirit to go and proclaim His message. And the enemy wants nothing more than to keep you distracted and then guilty and then feeling shame. And then what do? You intentionally start to pour yourself into distraction to try to get rid of the guilt and shame. And that spiral just continues and continues. But Jesus steps on the scene and says, "Hey, peace to you. Peace to you." Jesus knows our frailty. Right? He knows we're going to mess it up. He knew when He told the disciples 3 times He was going to rise from the grave that none of them were going to be there. He knew that. And yet He lavishes His grace upon us. What does that do for us? That give us a title, an excuse to go out there and just, well, who cares? I can just focus on the now and God loves me anyhow. No, that's not the message. It should well something up inside of us that builds a deeper love for who He is. It should build a greater desire to praise Him for what He has done. For the Scripture says that we love, why? Because He first loved us. He lavishes grace and love upon us. Therefore, our response is we love Him more. We love Him in greater ways. The deeper we understand His forgiveness, the deeper we understand His grace, the deeper we understand His mercy, it doesn't result in freedom to ignore Him. It results in a greater love and worship of Him. So this morning, if you've been in the pit of despair, that you've realized, man, I've been so distracted, I just missed it. Now God must really be sick of me. Tell the enemy to shut up. That's not for you. That's not the message. The message is peace to you. God is not done with you. Jesus has a plan for you. Now go and tell somebody about it. And this week, when you find yourself distracted on Wednesday, preach the message to yourself again. Preach the message to yourself again. Jesus says, peace to you, my frail followers. My followers who are going to stumble and fall and become distracted. There is hope for the distracted in the grace and mercy and love of our Savior. So we can take joy in that. Let's bow our heads and we'll pray and then we'll stand and sing one more song. Father, I just thank you for the truth of your word. I thank you that our frailty and our failures aren't surprising to you. I thank you that through the cross, through the work of Christ, there is therefore now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. But Jesus paid it all, and all to him we owe. Father, we thank you for the grace you lavish upon us. I ask you to forgive us for our distraction. We're not hiding that. We're not pretending like it's not there. We're not pretending like we're not concerned. We boldly confess that we are distracted people, that we get lost in the immediate now, that we forget there's a bigger picture taking place. We get lost in the immediate now, that we forget your faithfulness. We forget your power. We start to doubt. We start to become concerned. We miss what you have for us because of our distraction. Father, we confess that before you. We ask that you would focus our eyes upon you and you alone, that you would bring our focus back to where it should be, that we would take hold of your words, peace to you, and that we would go and tell somebody that you call the disciples to do. And we would be your witness to the things that have taken place. Father, we thank you for your love, your grace, your mercy. May we walk out here praising you in a greater way today. And we do this all in Jesus' name.